rated T to M. Hey, want to hear a PC Game Pass ad? I'll take your silence as a yes. Want new games on day one like Call of Duty Black Ops 6 or Stalker 2? I thought so. How about unlocking all the League of Legends champions when you link your Riot Games account? All for one low monthly price? Well, guess what? We got you. Learn more at xbox.com/PC Game Pass or click the banner. Stalker 2 available November 20th, 2024. Game catalog varies by region and over time. And that's the end of the script.
Oh my God, you're gonna love it.
Hey everyone, welcome to the AI Chicks, where we're providing you cool conversations on AI for all, with every episode covering a different topic on how AI is impacting your daily life. I'm your host, Aisha Corpuswin, always bringing the fun, entertaining, insightful knowledge on tech. And I got my co-host here.
Hi guys, I'm Lana Howe, and I'm bringing the curls, the charisma, and that entrepreneurial energy.
Yes, she is. And today we're getting into a really important topic that we've been wanting to talk about for a while now, which is AI and higher education. We are thrilled to welcome Dr. Messina Morris to the AI Chicks. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you all for having me.
Of course, of course. So let's take a moment to introduce yourself and tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself and your background.
Sure thing. So my name is Dr. Messina Morris. I am the world's first metaversity director at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm also a senior assistant professor in the Department of Education. Now, I'm trained as a biomolecular chemist, and when I developed our metaversity along with three of my other colleagues, I did it in advanced and organic chemistry. So I was the department chair of chemistry at the time, and so my background has been chemistry and taught in chemistry up until about 2 years ago. And then I switched into education because I want to develop metaversive teaching and learning as an active learning strategy for pre-service and in-service teachers. Because one of the things that we're going to talk about later on, I'm sure, is how do we get educators on board and what do we do to train them? And that's what I do. And so I'm also the CEO and founder of Metaverse United, where we help people find where they belong in the metaverse. And that includes an umbrella of all these emerging technologies in that space. That's what I do. And you can find me at unitethemetaverse.com.
It's an honor for you to join this podcast, and hats off to, pioneering so much in the educational space at Morehouse in Atlanta, for the world, everything.
So, Dr. Morris, an interesting thing, we've been actually waiting for this episode because when AI came on the scene, so to speak, one of the topics obviously was AI in education. Students started using ChatGPT, then teachers started using AI detections to detect if the students were using AI, and it became this whole conversation about the role of technology, but specifically AI in schools. And as part of the show, we have AI Give a Take of AI and technology in education. So let's see what it had to say on this topic.
According to ChatGPT, AI significantly impacts higher education by enhancing personalized learning, automating administrative tasks, and providing data-driven insights, making education more efficient and accessible. It offers opportunities for inclusive education by supporting students with disabilities and those in remote areas, and aids research by analyzing large data sets. However, challenges include ethical concerns, such as perpetuating biases and privacy issues, job displacement due to automation, and over-reliance on technology potentially diminishing critical thinking skills. The digital divide may also widen, as not all students have equal access to AI-powered tools. Balancing these benefits and challenges is crucial for fair and ethical use of AI in higher education.
Okay, after hearing that take, I think for me, what's exciting is about the personalized education. Students learn differently, and with technology, with the teacher assistants, the virtual tutors, the ability to really kind of custom tailor a teaching or learning plan for a student, I think that's really exciting and a great way to make it more accessible. And also on accessibility, like the text to speech and speech to text, when I would see all of these headlines about AI and education, one of the biggest concerns that came up was about dependency on technology, limiting their critical thinking and problem-solving skills. And I kind of thought about it from the calculator. Before, you had to do math on a piece of paper, and then the calculator came, but we still figured out ways to challenge a student's mind to think about a math problem while still having the aid of something like a calculator. And so for me, I'm excited to hear from you more about the integration of technology in education, because I actually think that net is still positive. I still think that you can use critical thinking skills and problem solving skills while using technology to assist you in your learning process.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
This episode is brought to you by 1Password. Imagine what your brain could remember if it didn't have to hold on to 100 different passwords. Free your brain from remembering passwords. Get 1Password. 1Password combines industry-leading security with award-winning design to bring private, secure, and user-friendly password management to everyone. Don't let security slow your business down. Go to 1password.com/technews to start your 2-week free trial.
This is the thing. Artificial intelligence is not new. Human intelligence created artificial intelligence, and I want people to understand that. And so a big part of understanding the capabilities, in my opinion, are being limited by the antiquated mindsets and thoughts of people who are just resistant to change. Change is inevitable. One thing we can bank on in this life is that things will change. We never live the same day. We never live the same moment. We can't do anything but progress and move forward. And it is not in our best interest to stifle our children from living the best quality of life that they can, because honestly, the generations are getting smaller. So the baby boomers were the larger generation.
Yeah, and then people were having less and less children, so the population is shrunk.
And so the workforce is different, and the amount of people in the workforce is different. And you do actually need technology to help you increase productivity, or else people are going to work themselves to death. We are still human. So if it can help improve productivity, if it can help increase accuracy, where people are not falling asleep behind the wheel because they have to take on so much as a human being and they're not able to exist as a human being, I think that's problematic. And I think that we should start thinking about the solutions that this can solve and how it can help increase capacity, especially for educators. Educators who are already taxed to maximum capacity and get mandate after mandate to treat and to do certain things in a certain manner for every child. I'm a mother of 5 sons. I have sons that have autism. I have sons that have other challenges. I have gifted children. I have children from 28 all the way to 7. So I have raised children from these generations that I'm talking about. I've been in the classroom for 20 years in K-12 as well as in higher ed. So I'm well aware of the challenges that educators face, and nobody is thinking about the well-being of the educator in terms of capacity. Everyone wants to send their child to school, and everyone wants their child to have a great education. There's so many disparities in the educational system, and teachers do not make a living, okay? And you can tell me that you work 9 months and that's why you make so little, but teachers work 2 and 3 jobs at a time. I've never not worked 2 or 3. I've never not had my own business. I never could, but I care about this. And so I'm just saying teacher burnout is real. Teacher shortages are not because people don't have the heart for the children. It's that you're not making it where I could take care of my children. How am I a professor and I can't send my own child to school? It's those kind of things that start to eat away at the human being. And that's why I said, if we can find ways to incorporate it to make life easier and focus on how we're all going to get to the same place in developing and progressing, then I don't see where it could be a challenge, because that means all of us will be aware and conscious of where we're going.
That's so profound. And I love that you even just broke it down from population statistics and the amount of teachers and the support system that the teachers and the educators need to really bring the quality of education that you're right. Every single human wants their child to have a good education. And so these are all just such core fundamental things that you're seeing that is a sort of a domino effect and AI can come in and truly help remedy that. So on my front, Dr. Morris, you were talking about accessibility. For me, there's a bit of a pro and the con that I wanted to touch on, because I do think that AI, from a solution-driven standpoint, helps with underserved, underfunded communities and schools through AI support. And then there's a 24/7 accessibility through AI. I'm a big fan of optimization and automation, all the Asians, when you implement advanced technology like AI into the educational system. So I really see all of those factors as pros. However, I do want to throw a big monkey wrench into the conversation and get your thoughts on this. Because AI is so much of a factor of helping us be more productive in the career space, there's also the factor of job elimination. I really feel like there's a lot of people that are like, well, what do I major in? What do I go to school and major in? If potentially by the time I graduate, that industry or that career may not even really exist. So I'm curious on your thoughts of what would you advise or to say to people who are questioning what their major should be because of all the job elimination fears that are coming across our headlines and in conversations because of AI?
I can't even tell you because, to be quite honest, it doesn't matter what you major in. You can ask your medical doctor, your neurologist, what they majored in college. And a lot of them, a great deal of them will say sociology. Oh, I was a music major. And they took their science prereqs. So I'm just saying, it really does not matter. 20% of people work in their actual field that they got an undergraduate major in. The undergraduate degree really is not a whole lot about defining your space unless you're hardcore engineer or STEM in that way. It's more about rounding out your understanding of who you are and giving you extra time to put thought into things that you perhaps would like to pursue. I think that people should major in the thing that resonates in their soul because the degree shows persistence. It shows that you were able to complete and finish a task regardless of what happens in life. And we know in 4 years, anything in your life can happen. So that's what the degree signifies. It says that I can finish something, that I can start something, I can finish something, and I invested in myself to do it. But to be honest, I'm not even in my field anymore. I'm a biomolecular chemist who taught chemistry up until 2 years ago. I'm a certified educator who moved over into the education space to develop metaversity teaching and learning as a part of pedagogical approach for educators and to train them, because what I realized is there's only one me. And my legacy is creating other me's, people who have the heart for the youth, who want to integrate emerging technologies or just stay on the cutting edge of evidence-based learning and create the evidence, be the blueprint. I want to mold the minds of educational leaders, people who are okay to be innovative and step outside the box and challenge the system. And when it's not working, say, you can't test the kid up. That is not going to help them comprehend a thing. You've got to bring back the joy and the curiosity that happens when a learner is engaged. That's what I do.
We're very similar and are cut from the same cloth. And we got certified in AI, but we're not tech engineer majors. No. We are very passionate about tech and the AI space. And now we're using our years of education and also a lot of just self-research, self-taught to really pass that knowledge and help inspire and educate others. So I definitely feel you there on being a part of the innovation, being a part of the emergent technologies, and being a part of the early adopters. Do you feel as though everyone should be studying AI? Because if you are trying to get teachers to be informed on AI, not only are you learning to be an educator, but you also need to learn AI. Not only are you learning to be an editor in my space of entertainment, but you also need to learn AI. So I'm curious of your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. Because our metaversity, even the integration of XR technologies into our curriculum, it's not a STEM-based initiative only. We did it in chemistry, biology, English, education, business, journalism, sociology. So we've done it across all disciplines. So it's not just for STEM, it's for the humanities, for business, right? It's across all disciplines. And the reason why is the development of artificial intelligence as a discipline does remain nested in computer science and software engineering departments. And I believe it belongs there because there's a certain level of genius that it takes. There is also digital literacy. And because our young people are digital natives, that means they were born into all of this. But that don't mean they know how to use it. It was here when they got here. And just because they scroll on it or explore it, I had students that didn't even know that you could go to a second page on a Google query. Let me tell you something. We don't teach digital literacy skills, and that's going to be our biggest issue. I mean, I remember a time when we had to take technology classes where they set you in front of that little computer and they taught us how to write an email, like seriously. And they taught us how to send it. And they taught us how to create a document with margins. And you had to go through everything. We don't even have that anymore.
And that's a really insightful point, because they don't even teach that with cell phones. You just put a cell phone in people's hands and they don't fully understand even the capabilities.
I just think it's dangerous. And so part of this is making sure that young people are aware of what this technology can do and how to ethically use it. If we don't create a blueprint and a workflow and put something out there that matters to them, they're not paying us any attention.
Yeah, and I think, Dr. Morris, you're really hitting on a really important point that we actually here at the AI Chicks, we talk a lot about, is when people have certain fears or hesitancies with using AI, with what has kind of come to market, whether it be ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot, just because of the unknown. How do I even get it? That is saying something about the culture. But then the second level is, okay, once you start to use it, understand that it's a computer program and it can make mistakes. It can hallucinate. You are still the human. You need to look at the output and then actually understand, did it give you the right answer? And I think that that is a skill that needs to be discussed and molded more.
Remember back in the day when you used to have to do homework, the teacher in math would say what after you finish the problem? Check your work. I don't understand why people don't feel like they need to check their work. It just gave you a starting point. Honestly, to me, I've had my students do exercises where you're going to write a cold essay, the whole period. For an hour and 15 minutes, they just write, and they have to type it up, and it has to be on a shared Google Doc with me. And they literally have to put together their thoughts in real time. Okay, so they submit that document. And then I let them take the same assignment. I say, use the AI tool you love and let it write the essay for you. All of them are going to get different essays, right? It's generative. So they put that in. They get an essay. They read it. They go back. They read theirs. 9 times out of 10, students have said, I like mine better. I even, as an educator, like theirs better. I then tell them to take their essay, feed it in, and tell ChatGPT to make it more elaborate or refine something or generate something new and see what it tells you. Now put them together, take out what you don't want, put in what you want, keep feeding it information layers by layers. And one of my students had literally a 0% match. It couldn't even detect that it was AI because it was so rich in his own thoughts that honestly all AI did was make sure that his grammar was correct. And that's really important. And a lot of times you do get writer's block. Writing is a skill, and some people will never come to it. But if you can give them a workflow that makes writing easier, you come to an enjoyment of seeing your own thoughts come to fruition, seeing your thoughts be refined into better thoughts. Now you have something more to expand your own mind. Why would we not want that? And why would we not teach that?
Well, we know that you have done some riveting, impactful things with embracing AI into the educational space. So I definitely want to get into that. But Dr. Morris, before we do that, we have to fully induct you into the AI Chicks squad by giving you a nickname. We do this with all of our guests. I know you know this every episode. So we have some fun, unique ones.
You love metaverse. Messina Morris. We got it, right?
I think that's a winner.
I feel like that's a winner. I feel like you're Messina Morris, and that's what all your students should call you.
One last one to throw out there, because you've told us that you really are all about the infotainment, being an educator that's also captivating and keeping education fun. Okay, what about if we call you Party Professor?
Hey, listen, we're going to party with these books.
Okay, yes. It's a book party.
Do you have one that you love that we should know about?
Yeah, do you have a nickname that we don't know about?
So my students call me Dr. Mom. I used to run an educational consulting tutoring company called Molding of Minds Learning Academy. So when my student was like, hey, Dr. Mom, and I was like, okay, listen, Mom can be molder of minds. It has to stand for something. Y'all got to know that, yes, I'm Mom, but I'm molder of minds. I'm going to get y'all mind together.
Dr. Mom, Molder of Minds.
That is such an honorable nickname, Molder of Minds, Dr. Mom. So I think we just have to just bring the Dr. Mom officially into the AI Chick Squad. We're going to get into some really amazing questions that we've been dying to ask you.
One of the questions I wanted you to speak on is really how AI is being currently used in colleges and universities.
So you have different models that other institutions are using and have integrated into their work. A lot of institutions in higher ed that I see are still at the very beginning of investigating what they want it to be. And they're giving professors kind of free range to explore what they want. Some teachers are just using it in their everyday studies. They'll have their students use it to check over their essays or grammatical work. You have others that are using it to train their surgeons on different responses to their questions, right? So AI patients. There are people who want their students to use it to actually generate art and use it as inspiration for creating actual art, or getting their thoughts out of their head. There's a faculty member who is using AI for looking over teacher evaluations and professor evaluations towards tenure. You have some people that are looking at it from the student side. What is the data saying? You know what I mean? I have all this data. What do we do with it? And how could I do better data visualization to see some of the outcomes, student learning outcomes a bit differently? Are their grades improving? Is their matriculation on track? All of those things are ways in which AI is being used. At Morehouse College, we are using AI TAs to help give our professors more capacity, also give them more autonomy over how their students search AI for information. Because what our AI TAs can do is a little bit different than just the standard chatbot. One, warm, conversational. You can talk to it, not just type. It will pick up different languages and respond back in kind into that same language. But it's also using demonstratives to reteach the lesson that you perhaps missed or missed something in. And we script it and feed it our lessons in order for it to teach our students. So for me, it gives us more capacity. We have heavy teaching loads. A lot of us, we don't have TAs. We're an undergraduate institution, but we do a lot of research and a lot of innovation. And we do want to make sure that our teachers have capacity and that our young people, when they have their eureka moment at 3:00 in the morning, that they don't have to wait to office hours to answer that question or get it answered. And they don't have to comb through lots of information to find that answer and then try to figure out what it is. I know people say, well, they're not building critical thinking skills. No, they're not building critical thinking skills in the way that we did, but nobody looks in the encyclopedia anymore for information. And that's how I built critical thinking skills. And I am grateful that my child gets to learn how to put in a Google query, and can find information. And so we have to teach these digital skills so that they're aware of how to operate well in this space. And that's what the AITA allows for. And like I said, it gives teachers something that they can use, that they vetted, and that they know is also pulling information from what they are teaching.
And I think that you kind of touched on a question I was going to ask. How many universities, how many teachers actually have a teacher's assistant? This definitely opens the support system for so many educators being able to supplement that support through AI and having an AI TA.
Yeah. And then even if you do have TAs, even the TAs are getting degrees. They're working on masters or PhDs. They're just teaching assistants so that they can pay for graduate school, right? So I remember being a TA, getting my PhD in biomolecular chemistry. I had over 100 students and I was a PhD student in chemistry. Like, it was a lot, just servicing the needs of the students. No one prepares you for that. How do you divide your time? And you end up either doing a terrible job at one or the other, right? And so students still not getting what they need because you don't have capacity.
Yeah, exactly. That's the pro of AI and embracing it, because it is 24/7 accessibility. And you were just mentioning some of the lack of access. And so I wanted to also ask about your thoughts around AI being implemented and helping higher education be more accessible to students. Could you give some more specific and tangible examples of AI helping the accessibility for underserved communities or just students in remote areas?
Our AITAs are available on a Chrome browser. This allows us to have 75 times more reach because you can get a Chrome browser, right? Most people do have a mobile device. Students do have Chrome books in school, even if they don't get to take them home. So I'm just saying this provides more accessibility. There's a networking part of it that we're going to have to work out that technology for rural areas. But you do have companies like Skylink and, satellite companies that are providing service to these areas to try to help with the network coverage. Now, I don't care if you political science, learn AI, learn XR, understand what it means for policy, understands what it means for humanities, understand what it means for how you're going to operate at the bench as a scientist, understand what it can do for you and how can it empower you to be better at what you do. We need to evolve as human beings. And so we need to be better. We need to be more intellectually capable. And it's one thing to always think about the criminal aspect of it, but I am certainly a glass is overflowing girl.
The other part that I've also noticed in some of the recent headlines is early stages of educational disparities happening with underserved communities because there's schools that are in more affluent areas that already have AI implemented in throughout the entire educational system. Some of these schools now already have AI teachers, and the kids are literally arriving at school, and some of the courses are fully virtual, very advanced AI knowledge. And then you have these other schools in underserved communities, probably with some, network limitations that you were just talking about and funding limitations. And they are not even trying to implement AI, even just at the basic level. And also, there's racial disparities within that as well. And so for me, it's very unfortunate and definitely drives the advocate in me seeing this gap happen. What are you starting to hear on the educational side to find solutions or remedies for that?
The thing about access is when you focus on the problem, you create more problems. And so what is happening in lower income schools is that you're putting out Maslow's hierarchy of needs fires. Students are hungry. Students don't have clothes. Students don't have access to supplies. You're dealing with other needs. And so the problem with that is then they are not aware that there's another side to this thing called life. We're going to have to start thinking backwards from where we truly want our future to be and work backwards towards that. And how can technology help? Because yes, there are disparities, especially when it comes to networking issues, but those have been issues for quite some time. There is that disparity, and a lot of those are socioeconomic factors that we can't all solve in this episode. However, that doesn't mean that they're not worth giving the exposure to. And so I take my show on the road. I mean, I do a lot of outreach. I do a lot of going to rural communities. I'm a little girl. My family's from Sylvania, Georgia, child, Scriven County, honey. So I come from educators and preachers for real. And so it's like, how can we now retrain our rural communities to go digital? It's really going to be a problem if we don't start doing what we did when we rolled out the computer. They need access. You got to teach them what it is, what it means. They're blank canvases, and it's up to us to put in the good. Give them that 15 minutes of fame, and it'll change a child's world.
Curious about the misconceptions and the drawbacks you've been seeing with implementing AI into the educational systems.
Parents, I don't want my child to be taught by AI. I pay too much money for my child to be taught by AI. Nobody is not going to interact with your child. We're trying to increase capacity. I'm always going to show up. I mean, that's just who I am. And everyone that I work with in my faculty and my metaversity, we show up. Humanity is at the core of what we do, is at the core of who we are. And so what made me want to do the headsets and bring them out was presence. I wanted my students to see me, to feel like I was in the room with them during COVID. I didn't want them to feel like they were alone. Learning chemistry, that can be isolating. And you can't see molecules, and I can't do lab experiments with you. I can't even demonstrate anything with you. And so it empowered the students. But parents, it's like some parents are just, I just don't want my child to just be around a screen and learning that way. And they're going to learn that way. And it's not replacing a human being, but we can't limit our young people to paper and pen when they're not moving into a workforce of paper and pen. And then they're going to be pivoting in the middle of their life. And then they're going to have to use AI anyway to figure out how to upskill and reskill. This technology belongs to them too. And replacing jobs, I hear that all the time. Yes, it's going to replace jobs, but we also don't ride in buggies and carriages anymore. You don't have to have a driver. It changes, it's different, and it is going to change and be different because our society is growing and getting more advanced. We do have more technological capabilities, and it should change and be different. So, I mean, I am just like of the mindset that it's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to change and get different. And more so, let me just say this. People act like their job that they wanted to do is going away. It's not. You didn't want to do that.
Well, we're talking about the fact that society is inevitably evolving and changing. And so we definitely want to hear from you on your thoughts of the future of AI in education. Does everyone need to have minor in AI? At this point, will every classroom, especially on the higher education front, have an AI TA? Will there be more virtual classroom? Is it going to be that every university owns their own platform of the AI TAs for that university with their data and their courses? Yeah. Or is it going to be something that is all the universities get together and decide this is the information that will be available on the platform? So it's kind of interesting. Well, yeah, Dr. Bob, give us your vision of what you're hoping and praying and thinking education is going to be like in the future.
So the future of education can be bright. Let me say that. And as long as I got lungs, breath in my lungs, it's going to be bright. I think the educators will embrace this emerging technologies because it'll give them more capacity. It just makes you more productive. Teaching is a labor of love. It truly is. And you really do need more than one person to every 40 students. So for me, what I see in education is just students who aren't able to have access to field trips or those kind of things can see the pyramids and know that they at least exist. And outside of a book, because their books are old or it's old material, and it will fuel the curiosity of our young people. That's what I hope. And that the next wave of independent thinkers that are going to solve some very complex issues come from communities where diverse thought exists, where different perspectives exist, and we should be more inclusive of those communities. And I think that we can do that well if we can speak the same language, which is just be human.
We are so honored and thankful that you joined us. It's just been an epic conversation covering so many factors from the parenting and kid and student side of things, the digital literacy, all the way to supporting educators and finding other ways to enhance the learning in the educational system. And we've covered such a holistic level of this topic, but I feel like we need to do a part 2 and a part 3 with you. Hopefully, Dr. Morris, Dr. Mom, you enjoyed this conversation, and we're so grateful that our listeners got to hear all of this insightful knowledge about it from you.
Thank you. And I have to shout out a couple people real quick. So I got to shout out my ed tech partners, Victory XR, because they are the engine behind what we do, and they help us with that technological aspect of it. And so I want to appreciate them. And we have some wonderful funders, Meta and Qualcomm, Southern Company, T-Mobile, National Science Foundation, and
Morehouse. We gotta give kudos to Morehouse too.
No, we're going to give kudos to Morehouse, but I'm trying to make sure I hit these funders. We need more money because we need to do more. No, but we greatly appreciate all of the love, and I appreciate all of the love from y'all. I couldn't do this without the support of the young people too. You know, it's really them that fuel you. You know, they're the ones that keep you going. And so I'm excited to do something that honors them in the space that they're in at a time when they need it and need to be seen and show their genius. because they define the culture.
Thank you so much, Dr. Morris. It was such a pleasure to meet you, and definitely cannot wait for future conversations with you because you are such a wealth of knowledge. And so thank you for the time. For all our listeners, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and grab that merch, you guys. Thanks for joining us on the AI Chicks. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Listen to the AI Chicks on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Video episodes are available on Patreon. And check out our socials at The AI Chicks.